Have you ever found yourself wondering, is it still safe to be intimate at my age? Or maybe you've noticed that something just doesn't feel quite right anymore, not in your body, not in your heart, and definitely not in your bedroom. You're not alone. Millions of people over 70 are quietly asking the same questions, but most of them are too embarrassed to say it out loud. So today, we're going to talk about something important, something that almost no one wants to touch, but everyone needs to hear. Because the truth is, intimacy doesn't retire when you do. It doesn't vanish after your 60s, and it doesn't stop being a part of your life at 70, 80, or even 90. But here's the part that most people never get told: how you approach sex after 70 can either bring you deep connection, healing, and vitality, or it can quietly take a toll on your health, your confidence, and your relationships. In this video, we're going to walk through 6 shocking truths, things that older adults often get wrong when it comes to sex in their later years. Things that seem harmless or even normal, but can lead to serious consequences if left unchecked. This isn't about shaming. It's about awakening. It's about giving you the knowledge, the tools, and the peace of mind to reclaim intimacy in a way that truly honors your body, your season of life, and your spirit. Let me ask you this: have you ever pushed through discomfort in the bedroom because you didn't want to seem weak or out of touch? Maybe you tried to keep up with your partner, even when your joints were aching or your heart felt off. That's the first big mistake, and it's far more common than you'd think. Over 70, the body needs a new kind of attention, a deeper kind of listening. But we've been taught to pretend we're still 40, to force to hide, to act like nothing's changed, and that pressure, it can be dangerous. After 70, your cardiovascular system is not the same. Your bones are not the same. Your hormone levels, muscle tone, blood pressure, and even your hydration levels, yes, all of it changes. What doesn't change, though, is your capacity for joy, affection, and pleasure. But here's the kicker: if you're not adjusting your sexual behavior to fit your current body's needs, you could be risking everything from minor injuries to major cardiac episodes. And too many people have no idea until it's too late. Secret number 1: sex after 70 is not a sprint. It's not a performance. It's not about proving anything. It's about tuning in, slowing down, giving yourself permission to move gently, breathe deeply, and take your time. This isn't just about technique. It's about respect. Respect for your own energy levels, respect for your body's signals, respect for your need to feel emotionally safe, not just physically close. One gentleman once shared with me that he felt pressured to be the man he was at 45, even though his body was clearly telling him otherwise. He pushed himself, ignored his shortness of breath, brushed off his palpitations, and ended up in the emergency room after what was supposed to be a romantic evening. It shook him, not just physically but emotionally. I thought I was supposed to ignore the pain, he told me. But maybe the pain was trying to save me. Secret number 2: emotional intimacy is not optional, it's essential. So many older couples, or even individuals dating later in life, think that sex is supposed to follow the same formula it did decades ago. But what's often missing is the emotional preparation, the warmth, the communication. You'd be amazed how many health scares could be avoided if people simply talked before they touched. If you're not emotionally connected, you're more likely to rush, to overextend, to ignore discomfort. That disconnection puts strain on your body and leaves your heart, both literally and figuratively, more vulnerable. And let's be honest, the desire for intimacy doesn't fade, but the way we experience it has to grow with us. You can't treat a 75-year-old heart like it's still 35. You can't ignore years of emotional history and expect sparks to fly without a deeper bond to hold them. There's a kind of sex that heals, that nourishes, that brings laughter, trust, and even tears. But there's also a kind that depletes, one that's rushed, anxious, and out of sync. The difference often comes down to whether you're approaching intimacy from a place of pressure or a place of presence. Now, I want to gently touch on another common issue. Many older adults rely on pills, enhancers, or alcohol to get in the mood or keep things going. It feels like an easy fix, especially with all the ads and social pressures telling you that performance is everything. But relying on these aids without proper medical guidance can be dangerous, especially when combined with existing medications or heart conditions. And the emotional consequences can be just as risky: dependence, shame, and a loss of confidence when the aids stop working as expected. Instead, try rethinking what intimacy even means to you now. Sometimes the most powerful moments don't involve intercourse at all. They involve touch, laughter, eye contact, shared memories, a gentle kiss on the shoulder, a long embrace that says, "I'm still here with you." That's the kind of connection that lights up the body in ways no pill ever could. When you start listening to your body, letting go of outdated expectations, and truly connecting with your partner, whether you've been together for 50 years or are exploring something new, you begin to open a door to something far richer than physical pleasure. You find healing, you find peace. And yes, you still find pleasure, but the kind that doesn't cost you your health or your happiness. So if you've ever felt like intimacy has become more of a struggle than a joy, if you've felt unsure, disconnected, or even a little afraid of what comes next, know this: you're not broken. You're not past your prime. You just need a new approach, one that honors the beauty and wisdom of your years. Let's keep going deeper, because there are more truths to uncover, some that might surprise you, and some that might just change everything. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked, yet powerful truths about later life intimacy. Your body is constantly trying to talk to you, but most people over 70 have stopped listening. Whether it's a subtle ache, a lack of sensation, or even a shift in desire, these are not just signs of age. They're signals. Signals that your body needs a different rhythm, a gentler pace, or even a new way to define closeness. But far too often, we silence those signals out of fear. Fear of appearing old, fear of being alone, fear of no longer being wanted. Secret number 3 is one that no one warns you about until it's already become a problem. Ignoring vaginal and penile health after 70 can lead to painful and sometimes irreversible damage. For many women, menopause and the years that follow can bring on vaginal dryness, thinning of the tissue, and increased sensitivity. It's a completely natural process, but here's the issue. If you continue having intercourse without addressing these changes, the result isn't just discomfort. It can lead to microtears, chronic inflammation, infections, and even long-term trauma to the tissue. And yet, so many women pretend it's not a big deal. They suffer silently, telling themselves, "This is just part of aging." Or worse, feeling guilty for needing more time, more preparation, or help from a lubricant. But you should never have to apologize for taking care of yourself. The truth is, dryness is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to adapt to, with compassion, with knowledge, and yes, with good, quality, body-safe lubricants or prescribed creams when needed. There is no shame in asking your doctor. In fact, that simple conversation could save you years of hidden pain. For men, the picture is a little different but just as serious. Erections after 70 may not come as quickly or stay as reliably, and that's not a failure. It's physiology. But chasing performance too aggressively, especially through unmonitored pills or pressure, can lead to blood pressure complications, psychological strain, and in some cases, serious vascular incidents. Instead of focusing on the rise, older men should begin focusing on the connection. If your goal is intimacy and joy, not performance and ego, your entire experience transforms. You slow down, you breathe, you make room for mutual pleasure, not pressure. Secret number 4 is this: the most powerful sexual organ after 70 isn't between your legs, it's between your ears. That's right. Your brain, your thoughts, your beliefs about yourself, your partner, and what intimacy means now, these shape your experience more than any technique or supplement ever could. When you believe you're past your prime, you act like it, you shrink, you settle, you start saying things like "those days are behind me," or "we're too old for that now." But the truth is, you're never too old for closeness. You're never too old for affection. What changes is how you define it and how you allow yourself to experience it. If you approach intimacy like it's something you need to keep up with, you'll always feel like you're losing. But if you approach it like a slow dance, with wisdom, with curiosity, with patience, something magical happens. Your mind relaxes, your body responds, and you create space for pleasure that isn't rushed, forced, or filled with self-doubt. Many couples who have been together for decades tell me they stopped being intimate because things just didn't work the way they used to. And yet, when they finally really talked about what they missed, what they feared, and what they needed, they found new ways to touch, new ways to connect, and in some cases, a stronger bond than they'd had in their youth. Here's something important to hear. It's okay if your sex life looks different now. It's okay if it's slower, if it takes more preparation, if it involves more talking or more rest. That doesn't mean it's broken. It means it's evolving, and every season of life brings its own kind of beauty. What we often forget is that intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about being seen. It's about feeling wanted. It's about knowing that someone still wants to hold you at night, still wants to kiss you softly, still wants to explore this wild, tender part of being human with you. And that feeling, it's timeless. But to get there, you have to let go of the scripts you were given decades ago. The ones that said intimacy had to look a certain way, or last a certain amount of time, or end a certain way. Those scripts were never written for a body that's lived through 7 decades of joy, grief, loss, love, and growth. It's time to write your own script, one that fits who you are now. I want to speak now to those who feel alone. Maybe you've lost a partner, or maybe your spouse no longer shares your desire for closeness. You might be wondering, is that part of my life over? I want to tell you, absolutely not. Intimacy starts with you, with the way you nurture your own body, the way you dress yourself with care, touch your own skin, move with intention. Whether or not you have a partner, you deserve to feel alive in your body. You deserve to feel desirable, even if it's just for yourself. There is no expiration date on sensuality, no cutoff point for tenderness, but there is a cost to denying it, especially when it's done out of shame or silence. Your body was made for connection, and it's not asking you to be 25 again. It's just asking you to listen, to be kind, to move forward, not backward. So, as we continue this conversation, I want you to hold on to this truth. Nothing about your age disqualifies you from experiencing joy, touch, love, or pleasure. What matters now is how you approach it, with patience, with courage, and with a willingness to learn a new way, one that truly honors your life, your health, and your heart. One of the most beautiful things I've learned from speaking with older adults about intimacy is that desire never truly disappears. It just whispers instead of shouting. But many people stop listening, not because they don't care, but because they think they're no longer allowed to care. Somewhere along the way, we were fed this idea that sexuality is only for the young, that passion has an expiration date, that after 70 you should close that chapter and just be grateful for memories, but the truth, that couldn't be more wrong. And that brings us to secret number 5. After 70, the greatest intimacy doesn't come from spontaneity, it comes from intention. When you're younger, it's all sparks and heat and rush, but in the later years, it becomes something much deeper, slower, more sacred, and yes, more fulfilling. If you give it the space it needs, intentional intimacy means planning. It means slowing down enough to set the mood, not just lighting candles or playing music, though that can help. It means preparing your mind and your body, making sure you're not tired, not hungry, not stressed. It means stretching gently, breathing deeply, maybe even having a warm bath to relax those muscles and joints that don't move like they used to. It means creating a moment instead of waiting for one to magically appear. Some people worry that planning makes things feel forced. But I'll tell you something powerful. When you plan for intimacy, it becomes a gift, not just to your partner, but to yourself. It tells your body, I'm making space for pleasure. I'm making time to feel alive again. That kind of care rewires your relationship with your body. And that, in turn, brings a kind of freedom that many people haven't felt in decades. I remember a woman in her late 70s once telling me she felt unworthy of desire after gaining weight and dealing with arthritis. She said, I just don't feel like I'm the kind of woman a man could want anymore. But when she stopped seeing intimacy as something she needed to perform, and started treating it as something to feel, something to enjoy on her terms, everything changed. She found that desire wasn't about being young or thin. It was about being present, being vulnerable, being willing to say, I want to feel good in my own skin again. Which brings us to the final and perhaps most surprising secret. Your later years can bring the best sex of your life, not in spite of your age, but because of it. By now, you've let go of 1,000 worries that once weighed you down. You've weathered heartbreak and healing. You've come through life storms with stories, scars, and strength. And if you let that wisdom into the bedroom, something incredible happens. You stop pretending. You stop rushing. You stop chasing someone else's idea of what intimacy is supposed to look like. And you start creating your own. It's not about frequency, it's about depth. It's not about what your body used to do. It's about what it can still do when treated with love and respect. Sometimes the most powerful intimacy is just lying beside someone, touching fingertips, breathing together in silence, feeling safe, feeling wanted, feeling like you matter not for what you can perform, but for who you are. I want you to know something. If you've ever felt shame, fear, or confusion about sex at this stage of life, you are not alone. Most people over 70 are not talking openly about it, which means most people are suffering quietly, thinking something's wrong with them. But nothing is wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are simply entering a new chapter. And like any good story, this chapter has its own rhythm, its own truth, and its own kind of beauty. So here's what I want to leave you with today. If you've been pushing your body past its limits, it's okay to slow down now. If you've been carrying old beliefs about what intimacy should be, it's okay to let them go. If you've felt disconnected from your partner or from yourself, it's never too late to reconnect. Start small, start with a conversation, start with a gentle touch, start by telling your partner or yourself that you're ready to discover what intimacy looks like now, not what it used to be. This is not the end. This is a new beginning, one that can be softer, sweeter, and even more satisfying than anything you've known before. Because real intimacy the kind that nourishes your soul, not just your body, isn't about proving anything. It's about showing up, it's about honesty, it's about love. If this message touched something inside you today, I invite you to leave a comment below. Share your story, share your fears, your hopes, or simply let someone else know they're not alone. And if this video helped you feel seen, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We talk about real things here, things that matter, things that heal, things that give you the strength to live fully, no matter your age. You're not too old, you're just getting started. Here's to living with courage, love, and connection, at any age and especially now.